All right.
Hi,
No
welcome to the anime podcast. This is Kevin, and this is you.
discussion. Oh no, you is the character from Straight Jacket.
Who's Straight Jacket? I haven't seen that yet.
No, sorry,
This is in between part two
not
and
Straight
three.
Jacket.
Four,
No, I meant to say Spriggan.
Oh, we're sprigging this on you right now.
By the way, they're having an anime TV series for that coming out.
Oh shit!
I know, which is crazy considering how long ago that movie come out.
Well, I mean, they just made Battle Angel Alita the movie, so that's been since like 1990.
And Akira, I think, is in a TV series, which is nice because there's a lot of content that I saw in the comics, which I'm not done, that they didn't put in the movie.
I haven't seen the movie yet. No spoils.
Well, it is on our list of things to watch, and
I'll get to it.
well, let me know when, because then I can rewatch it because I haven't watched it in like 8 years.
Okay. So on this podcast, we are going to be talking about Undertale.
No, Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 Stardust Crusaders. No, we have recorded this last year, but that audio was not usable because we have third person, but that person was not recording, so it just sounds weird without it.
I don't know who that person was. That was a ghost who invaded the call.
But I did rewatch the show, and I do have a difference of opinion now of it.
Okay, so now that you love it,
I wouldn't say that.
what was your original opinion, and why do you love it now?
Before I said it, I felt like the show was too long.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've rewatched it and I know what to expect, it didn't seem nearly as long.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe also by comparison that, because I did watch it originally in order, so then when I watched part 4 and then part 5, those were pretty long parts too. I guess I was comparing everything to 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, part 3, man, I don't know what to talk about. Like, I liked...
Okay, so let's just get off the base right here. This was the show with Jotaro, and it introduced stands. Something that's become like a major JoJo thing.
I think I accidentally read a spoiler, but I'm not sure for like part 7 and 8.
Fuck.
But I think... Oh, you know what?
What?
Yeah, I think I read a spoiler.
I don't know. I'm not going to react to it. Tell me what it was.
I think part 7 takes place in 2030, and part 8 takes place in 2035.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It seemed like I was kind of far off. But then, that being said, he wrote every part, 10 years prior to when they happened?
Not exactly. The 1800s takes place 200 years.
Well,
the 1900s.
I meant part 3 onwards.
Starting from part 3 onwards, they started being pretty much concurrent with when they came out.
Because I was thinking he would do it he would write it a few years into the future.
I think part 4 was a few years in the future, but I think part 5 was at about the same time. Because there was a PS2 game at the same time the game came out. So, that was around 2001. Part 6, I think that one does take place 10 years later, but I'm not exactly sure.
So that means early 2000s. That means I know what the outro song is going to be for part 6. If it's not going to be Gangnam Style, I don't want to watch it.
It was written before Gangnam Style was a thing.
Yeah, but if it takes place... I thought they picked their music tracks.
They picked the music tracks based on what he was listening to at the time when he was writing it.
I thought they would pick it based on, hey, what was a song from this era?
Because, Yes wasn't that big in the 1800s. I don't know if you know this.
Well, no, but I meant from part 3 onwards. Part 1 and 2 are not part of this calculation.
Mm-hmm. Well...
That's why I was looking forward to watching part 5, because part 4
Yeah.
had a Savage Garden song, and I was like, part 5 might have a song that I know, and I'm like, I don't know any of these.
Well, we're talking about some later parts. I don't want to get into too many spoilers about the later parts. So I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is the part 3 only. We're going to limit ourselves here. All we know here is Walk Like an Egyptian and
let's combine 3 and 5 in this one, because you already combined 1 and 2 in a previous one.
Yeah, but then we're skipping 4.
We already talked about 4, and that one's already released.
Yeah, but like when people watch these, they're gonna watch them in the order they watch them. Like they're gonna be like, "Oh, I watched part 1 and 2. I want to see what Kevin and Alex have to say about those." They don't want to like.
Rochelle is the only one that listens to these.
Listen, I've seen some other comments on them. You've reached a global audience now. You can't turn back.
I saw a comment that I didn't understand on one of our videos.
Me neither, but I saw it.
I don't know what. I don't know. Is it y'all valid? Like, what is he talking about? What did we say?
We'd probably have to re-listen to the audio. We probably brought up like some kind of like thing that he was responding to.
Well, I wish YouTube was a little bit like SoundCloud, so then you can see like at what point in the track that they made that comment.
Oh, people can pick a time code that you can go to. This guy just didn't. So
that's killing me. I should reply to him and see what's up.
Hey, if you're watching this one, put a time code to tell us what you meant by that. Secondly, because like I don't want to spoil part 3.
Oh no, this is
or part 4 for the part 5 guys.
Oh, okay.
For people who haven't seen part 4 and 5, so let's just do 3.
Okay, so part 3, I went because before I was gonna do a video on this film director Satoshi Kon. He made Paranoia Agent. He directed Perfect Blue, which we did. But he also directed, I think, like an episode or 2 of Part 3's OVAs way back when.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to watch all his stuff and see if I can spot his styles. But I feel like Jojo doesn't have his signature style in there. I don't know.
So I think the only thing you'd need to watch for that is Dio's World of the OVA, because that kind of has like his style in it. Which is the best part. I haven't really watched the rest of the OVA though. I've only seen the Dio's World part because that was my favorite like story arc for the longest. I think it still is.
I watched some of Dio's World, and they changed it up a bit from how like David production went, but I had to explain. It was like, hey, this is just a condensed version of the show, so obviously they made some changes.
Some of it's condensed. Some of it is like expanded. Like there's more of like them just like fighting, and like it doesn't follow the manga as exactly. So like, in some ways it tries to be more realistic, but also in some ways it kind of goes ridiculous. It's weird. Like there's a part where they're just like they just smash a building and then throw like the building at each other in the sky, and they're smashing. It kind of like goes into a very ridiculous thing. And they also change it so that like instead of a road roller, he pulls out an oil tanker. And like they come up with like realistic explanations for where did Dio get the knives, and like where did Jotaro like get the things to block all the stuff. Oh,
well, the books made sense to me because you see him do a production like hanging off a bookstore sign. So that made sense. I'll probably maybe a display stand down below because bookstores do that. They leave books outside.
I guess focusing on the first part of part 3, a lot of it is very like they fight one guy after the other, and they're all like based on tarot cards. When my friend Shades was watching it, I like did a lot of research into tarot cards and like see like how exactly are they like based on them. Some of them are very like on the nose, and then some of them are kind of like there's kind of like a deeper meaning to it, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I don't have those on me right now. Like stuff like the moon, that one was just kind of on the nose. It's like, oh, it's underwater. All right. And the sun, it's the sun.
Oh yeah.
But other ones like the
cool
star,
episode,
the fool, those ones have a bit more like going on for them.
The sun episode was really funny where they beat him, and even Joseph's like, "That's it."
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
And also see Jotaro start laughing. So, who was your favorite member of the Stardust Crusaders?
Joseph.
Hmm.
Oh, I have something I want to point out about Avdol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
With Avdol Resurrection.
Yeah.
He never did it before, but he did it after. Like when he's talking to Polnareff, he'll do like a thumbs up thing and go like. But he kept doing that, and I'm like, "You've never done this before. Why are you doing it now?"
He didn't really have that much time to do stuff before because he died really quickly and then came back way later. Like they were almost to Egypt when he came back.
I don't understand the Kakyoin memes about him and moms. There's no evidence of this whatsoever in the show.
At the very beginning of the show, there's just like a bit where he like kind of talks about like I want to protect Jotaro's mother as well.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it.
That's so dumb.
Some of the memes are really like taking something, running a mile with it.
I saw a meme. I think maybe
it was a bit further than I thought.
I saw this one, but I think it's exclusive to like the Reddit.
Yeah.
But they'll have like it's like one of those non-reaction type photos.
Yeah.
Where it's like Caesar steals a car and then Caesar commits murder. And I don't get it.
Me neither.
Oh, this is dumb. I hate it.
I don't get the memes. I get some of the memes, but like
I think they're all in jokes.
Some of them are in jokes. Some of them are like going into this weird. They're like other memes just being attached to Jojo. That's how memes work.
Meme warfare.
Yeah.
That's some like Ghost in the Shell.
Something people always bring up in part 3 is that I think people go a little too far. But like there is just the one part when Jotaro uses Starfinger, and then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's like one of his main abilities that he never uses again for the rest of the show."
He doesn't.
And like, it's kind of weird, but it's also like a lot of what stands do kind of like get brought up once and then never used again. Like the whole thing where they can make stands any size. They can shrink down their stands at any point.
Or you can use your painting ability, which you tried to justify to me before.
Which ability?
Kakyoin would paint on a canvas and
it wasn't. Well, here's my justification for that for everybody watching. Everybody likes to point out the whole paint thing is like, oh, I thought his stand was he paints something and then it happens in the real world. My thought on that is that what Kakyoin was doing was using the painting of Jotaro as a visual representation of where to attack him so that he didn't have to look at him to do it, because that would show everybody like, hey, that guy looking at him, maybe he's a stand user. That's just my thought.
Show everybody as in the audience?
No, like if Joseph or somebody else was around, they'd be able to point out that he was the stand user because they'd see like, oh, he's the only one looking at Jotaro. Though, as the show goes on, a lot of times they don't even recognize the stand user when it's incredibly obvious. So,
well, yeah, I've seen those jokes where it's like you see like Yugi in a crowd of people. It's like anyone could be a stand user. Or is one? I think it's from like the Key and Peele show, and it's like, who knows who the stand users are? And it's like them in like goofy costumes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I saw a comment saying, they're like, yo, they shouldn't have done that Rohan OVA. It should have been just Oingo Boingo OVAs.
Is there more Oingo Boingo content out there to make OVAs out of?
Why not?
Because that wasn't a question of... Because I don't think there is more Oingo Boingo content. I don't think anybody wrote anything about them past that point.
No, but they're saying that the author screwed up and writing Rohan stories and not Oingo Boingo stories.
Yeah.
Favorite
Egyptian god stand users was probably like Oingo Boingo. just because I like that whole like Bugs Bunny like episode.
Well, there's since I rewatched the show, I can't find the scene. I remember there's a part where what was it, Akari? I can't remember his name. It's him in Egypt, and then he gets impaled on a thing.
Yeah.
I can't find that when I rewatched the show.
It's before the intro of the Oingo Boingo episode. Like, if you were skipping the openings, you would have missed that. That's why I never skip the openings. You gotta just let it happen. Because, like, they even put stuff after the endings, too.
I stopped doing that, like, after the endings because they always show me preview for the next episode, and I don't like seeing those things because I'm going to watch it anyways.
Well, with the new shows, they haven't been showing previews anymore. And, like, usually I do it. I just stick around, and, like, if it's a preview for the next episode, that's when I close it out. I don't, like, skip the endings ever because it's just, like, I feel like that's part of the show to just, like, sit there, take it in, think about what you just saw.
Well, with my rewatch, I now have the versions with the intros. I did not like that song that you liked.
It's not the song that I liked. I liked the opening. The song is part of the opening. It's the opening that I liked.
Oh, I didn't like either.
Well, I think what you're talking about is Sonochi no Kyoku, End of the World.
Mm-hmm.
That opening is what made me interested in watching JoJo.
Really?
Yeah. Because, like, every time I saw JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I thought it was, like, some cutesy kid show about a monkey or something.
Where'd you get that from?
Because it's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which sounds like some kid show. Then I saw that opening, I was like, oh, what? Wait a minute, what's going on here?
I was expecting more of the Dio's World intros. Because when I compare it to like 4 and 5, I was like, I'm expecting part 3 to do some crazy stuff, and I remember you telling me, "Oh, you got to see it." And I saw it, and I'm like, they did like one thing. They missed a lot of opportunities.
No, they didn't. So here's the thing. That also, I should say, that version of the opening is what specifically, like, the part when, like, time stops and then he just walks past Jotaro.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so cool. I was like, I gotta watch the show and find out what this is all about. Like, so, I don't know. Like, I still like that one the most, just because, like, if you're watching them in order, which you should be, that's a massive surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like the part 4 and 5 openings are kind of crazy when they do that stuff, but they're like, some of them are kind of a stretch.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. Like, the part 5 one, just, I think, Diavolo, we'll get to that when we get to part 5.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that.
So in terms of part 3, I'd like to say that I think that Dio's World is still, as of right now, the best fight of two people having superpowers.
Okay then, because I was going to say part 4 had a really good climax.
It had a really good climax, but it wasn't that great of a fight. I think it was very, like, kind of one-sided. The most interesting part, I think, of part 4's climax was, like, another one bites the dust, and, like, that wasn't really a fight, but it was a really good storyline.
Yeah, to me, that's the climax of the show. Yeah, it's like, hey, we're at the end game here. How do you resolve this situation? Because, like, that to me was the best part of the whole series. And it was worth all of it.
So with part 3, I'm going to get into some spoilers here. I watched part 3 without any knowledge of anything that comes next. So going off of part 1 and 2, part 1 ends with Jojo dying. Spoilers.
So you expected another death.
Part 2, it does a fake out, Joseph lives, but then in part 3, as Dio's descending, we watch Joseph get killed again, but for real. Which, spoilers, wasn't for real. But
fake out.
it was a fake out, but that was a really good death scene. They could have left it there and I would have been satisfied. Because, like, it was so sad and depressing. Because, like, he just falls down, and then, like, all of these people that should be grateful for this man for saving their lives, they don't even know that he has saved their lives, and they're just laughing at him like, look at this guy, what is he, Santa Claus?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's such, like, a terrible way for some heroic person to die. So, like, I loved that element of it, because it was sad.
I mentioned before that people were criticizing how Jojo had the world because they're saying the author wrote himself into a corner, and you said no, that is not true.
Yeah, that is not true. I'd like to continue also about Dio's world. The whole mystery leading up to, like, what is the world? Like, I feel like I've been spoiled. I was spoiled beforehand that, like, oh, it stops time. But then when you get to Dio's world, the entire, like, build up to it, he starts doing things that, like, have kind of become memes when people try to explain them, of, like
the stair thing.
Yeah, the staircase thing and all that, like, it made me double question. I was like, wait a minute, what actually is his ability? Because, like, it seemed like he was doing, like, save states and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, fuck. How do you beat that? And, like, once it's revealed what he actually is doing, it's still, like, he's also a vampire, so, like, if he just touches you, he can kill you immediately. So it's like, again, like, how do you beat that? And, like, what I really loved about it is, like, there was no easy, obvious answer for how do you beat that throughout the entire thing. And, like, the danger was just, like, really ever present. So, like, every time Jotaro would, like, it did feel kind of like cheating when it's like, oh, Jotaro pulls out magnets to trick him. And it's like, okay, well, now he knows that you have magnets. What does that mean? And then, like, well, the trick was that I could see you doing those things to move in time. It's like, okay, you can move for a second in time. Let's test how much you can move in time. And then he pulls out knives, and it's like, oh, fuck. Like, it was like the one, like, superhero battle or whatever, superpower battle of any kind that, like, I didn't know what was going to happen next. Like, they tell you all the rules, and it's still unpredictable. Like, it's two guys trying to outthink each other, and, like, there's no obvious answer for how do you beat that. And that's why I liked it.
I'm not sure how I feel. Like, I thought it was a stretch, though, how Kakyoin solved it, and then Joseph solved it.
Oh, yeah, but that's what I liked about it. Like, even though that's a stretch, that still isn't that much of a benefit to Jotaro. Like, okay, this is what it does, and they both die to pass off this information that, like... But
I mean, getting the information, I felt was like...
Yeah, I think... But that's what I mean, like, it feels like it's kind of cheating, like, would he really figure that out like that and still be able to pass on that message? But he does, and it still doesn't give them that much of an advantage, and that's why I liked it. Because, yeah, like, even when it is cheating...
anything else, I just thought it was kind of like, oh, you could have probably done this better somehow. I don't know how, but you could have done it better.
I'm fine with how they did it. So, like, so the idea that the world... So originally, Dio's stand was supposed to be, like, every stand ability before it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, like, I think originally what Araki was working with, and that's why, like, he's able to use, like, Hermit Purple early on.
Oh, yeah, he used it once, didn't he?
But I think originally also, like, the plan he had was that, like, both stands, Star Platinum and the world, were designed at the same time because he wanted from the very beginning that both of them would match. So I think, like, them both having the same ability actually comes up, like, about halfway through, because I think that's when, like, Star Platinum stops using stuff like Starfinger and starts getting a bit more, like, specific about, like, what happens when you use a Star Platinum. Because, like, early on everything's kind of rough, but as things go on, it starts to stick to, like, okay, yeah, Star Platinum, it just punches really hard and moves really fast.
And has zero precision.
Yeah, and I think that's when, like, about the midpoint is when he had the idea that it would be able to stop time. and that's when, yeah.
I can get behind like Dio being able to fly and stuff, but Jotaro.
So that's, I think all of that. The issue there is that like it's a 1-to-1 adaptation of the manga, and in the manga, a lot of this is explained by like they're just jumping really high and like pivoting off buildings and stuff. They weren't actually like flying
until time was stopped. Straight up flying.
Well, they were like time was stopped, but in the anime, because like in the manga, a panel is a panel. No matter how much dialogue you write in that one panel, it's 1 second basically. But like in the anime, it takes a lot longer to say all that, so they have to like stay in the air a lot longer, so it looks like they're flying instead of just jumping really far. And also like when it's time stopped, it makes sense. It's like, okay, well, time is stopped. Why would they fall? But then like it's just the weird parts. Well, Dio can move in the stopped time.
And then Jojo would stop time within the stopped time.
Yeah. Basically, it's like the Nickelodeon movie Clock Stoppers.
I was thinking like Click. Or that DuckTales episode. Where they had a watch and stop time.
Or The Simpsons, Bart versus the World. Ay caramba.
Oh, I remember. I showed you that video, I think.
I saw it like way before, I think. Whatchamacallit? Oh yeah, the whole, there was something I was going to say. Oh yeah, the one line. So everybody always references the line where he's like, I can't beat your ass without getting closer. My assumption, well, not assumption, what am I saying? What I really like about that is that it's not a one-liner, because Dio has a retort, and I love Dio's retort.
Oh, it's so good, but they don't do it in English dub.
Yeah, that sucks. What the fuck? They don't do that in English dub?
It's a great line, though.
Because, like, I just love it, because, like, throughout the entire show, whenever Jotaro makes a threat, like, the enemy stand user always gets, like, on their feet or something, like, what's he gonna do next? When he does it to Dio, Dio's just like, oh, come as close as you like that.
Oh, it's so cool. I even love that one where it's like they give this dog like boxing gloves and then they put those audio clips in. That's one of my favorite videos. And then he'll save the world and beat the shit out of the guy. I love that.
So good. Yeah, and that's, I think, what makes Dio's world also good. You know, on top of, like, the whole superpower element is that, like, Dio's personality is, I think, very interesting for a villain. Just because, like, he's very confident in himself. Like, he doesn't, like, he's confident in himself and he's not stupid. Like,
yeah, he always played it safe. Even if he was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I killed him, he's like, just to be sure, though.
Yeah, like, every time, like, a lot of, I think, like, character or villains who are, like, overconfident, they always do something really stupid. And, like, the dumbest thing Dio does in this fight is break his own leg to shoot blood into Jotaro's eyes. And, like, even then, like, it would have worked if it didn't.
They always talk about how, like, just by Dio talking to you, you're, like, under his, like, vampire gaze spell, right?
Yeah.
But when I actually saw him interact with people, I'm like, oh, nobody wants to talk to him.
Oh, yeah, like,
So the politician and that store clerk, like, he would have to, like, get mad at them to do things. Like, I always assumed that he would just, like, just with a wave of his hand and they'll do his bidding.
I think for him, like, his focus was, at that point, his focus was entirely on, like, hey, I gotta deal with these Jojos. Just drive the car. I don't even want to, like, waste the energy to, like, even try to convince you. Just do it. Because he could.
But even then, he would still get mad at them to do it.
Yeah. But he wasn't... I think, like, the English dub makes him more mad, because he seemed very calm in, like, the Japanese version, with the taxi guy, at least.
And they showed it in the OVA, but they didn't show it in David production, where when he's driving in the politician's car, the politician, you actually get to see him drive people over on the sidewalk.
Yeah. That's, like, one element that I think the OVA did better. Like, the animation was more, like, fluid. The anime version, though, was a bit more, like, one-to-one to the manga, so it was very, like, kind of, like, a couple steps above storyboarding. If you know what I mean. Like, it would show him about to do something and then just cut to, like, the next part.
Yeah, I guess. But it's also a good way to, like, save your budget and do other stuff.
Yeah, like that cool
I guess you can get more things out there if you just leave it up to the imagination.
Yeah. But sometimes you want to show that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then the part when, like, Jotaro has to stop his heart.
That was nuts. That whole scenario was crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the road roller scene in general, this has mostly just become like a Dio's World talking
yeah.
Because that's basically my favorite part of part 3, and I think most people's favorite part.
It's most memorable.
Vanilla Ice is pretty good. Oh yeah, the Darby the Gambler, love it, classic.
I mentioned before, whenever they play games, those are my favorite parts.
Oh yeah. Like, well, before we go back into Dio's World, Darby the Gambler, that was fucking great. I love that whole, like, thing.
What about his brother?
Not as good as the first one, but still good. Like, it was still kind of cool, but it's like, we're at Dio's castle, I just want to... It's good to Dio already. And then Vanilla Ice's intro is great as well. When Vanilla Ice appears and starts doing his thing. What did they change his name to in the English version?
I don't remember. I don't remember what the subtitle was. Cool Ice or something.
Oh, yeah.
But the Japanese audio, they still say the copywritten names, which is interesting. I thought that's the part they would have changed.
Yeah, but you said you were watching the dub.
This time around, I was.
Yeah. Like, so did the dub just call him Vanilla Ice or what?
I don't remember.
Alright. Anyway. I liked his whole stand. I liked the intro with him and Avdol where he looks at the wall and says, the second you turn around, you will die.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, what's going to happen when I turn around? And then you see what happens. It's like, what the fuck?
What if he didn't turn around?
He probably still would have died.
That's like, I think that ominous threat was Ace of Base lyric.
Ace of Base?
Yeah, it's like, oh, there it goes, turn around. I don't know. I'm making that up.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, back to Dio's World. The part when he has to stop his heart. Classic.
When he has to catch the bullet. Classic.
Polnareff jumping in and, like, almost killing Dio but missing his brain by, like, 1 inch. Like, the right spot that would have killed him. Classic. Dio getting his skull crushed in and then he can't use his legs and then he has to run into the car. Classic. The part when he opens the sewer cover and Jotaro's just there. Classic.
That was really good. Did they do a callback to that in another thing, or was it?
I don't know.
I was watching something else. I think I was watching something else.
Yeah.
Somebody was, like, going into the sewer, and it's like, what if the guy was just in there? Oh, I wish I could remember.
Oh, yeah. So the beloved road roller scene. Would you like to say anything cool about what you liked about it?
I saw green text about it a while back.
Was it funny?
Yeah, it was about this guy that went to Egypt to do some construction work. He didn't have his license to drive it, but whatever. And then some teenager gets crushed by it, and he's like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna lose my job."
So that scene in particular. So throughout Stardust Crusaders, there was a certain musical cue they would use, like right before Avdol dies, and right when Joso gets stabbed in the neck.
Yeah.
And so it kind of became this is when they die song, and that's the song that plays when Jotaro is about to get crushed by the road roller. So yeah, I love that part. Sometimes I wonder how would the series have gone forward if he really did die right there?
Well, it would have ended.
But not exactly, because spoilers for part 4, Josuke was already born.
That's true, but he needed Jotaro to expand him.
Perhaps,
I don't think he would have developed on his own.
But imagine,
and he may have been killed in town a lot sooner.
Imagine if he was forced to develop on his own, because Jotaro didn't really help that much during the Aqua Ring fight. He just told him hey, that guy's out there, watch out. But Josuke still had to do it on his own. Shit, yeah. Would have been tight.
Do you think he would have fought Dio?
Yeah. Imagine how crazy that would be.
Or do you think any of the subsequent parts would have fought Dio instead? Let me ask you this. Let's say the party wipes in part 3. Oh, you know what? Never mind. Answer some of my questions, because some of what little I know about up ahead wouldn't fit. Some of those parts just wouldn't happen without some major players. But of the ones that are a possibility, what is the most likely part that would have to deal with Dio?
So if Dio survived part 3, wiped out everybody in part 3, and the part that I think that would deal with Dio, finally finishing him, just based on so it would probably be part 6. Just thinking about it, because in part 5.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know some things about part 6.
Yeah.
But those things can't happen because of our new fiction in part 3. So that's why I'm saying, of the parts that remain, you can drop the obvious part 6. Which one of those characters? Sorry?
You mean just talking about part 4 and 5, or what?
Part 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, but you can't use part 6 for obvious reasons. Out of those ones, because I don't know anything else beyond that, 7 and 8, I don't know how those connect. But out of those ones, which one of those parts would most likely deal with Dio if everything went forward as they have been so far?
So
they just altered a little bit.
Part 4, I think, probably wouldn't deal with Dio that much. It would probably still be kind of the same, just remove Jotaro and Joseph completely.
Yeah, I don't think they would have crossed paths.
The Speedwagon Foundation would probably show up, but they would be less. They wouldn't have Jotaro or Joseph, so it would just be Speedwagon helping and Josuke. He just suddenly inherited the entire Speedwagon Foundation or something.
And then part 5
would probably change to Josuke would probably be a bigger part of part 5, because after everything that happens in part 4,
that makes sense.
Because Jotaro wouldn't be there to send Koichi, so probably the entire gang would probably go to Italy and meet Giorno.
Do you think part 4 gang would play a bigger role in part 5, or do you think it would have been as part 5 happened?
I think in my head, because Jotaro's not there to tell them to back off, they would probably go all the way and join the gang along with Jorno.
That would have been nuts. And then part 6 couldn't happen.
Part 6 could still happen, I think, if they didn't defeat Dio in part 5.
3? Oh, well, they never would have met Dio in part 5, I don't think.
Well, here's the thing. If Dio survived part 3...
He might have met him.
Yeah, I think like it would have been like there would have been a power struggle between like Diavolo and Dio and Jorno's like gang. So there would be like this kind of like 3-way battle thing going on.
Okay, so you think part 5 is where this would happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's assuming like anything could really happen. Who knows? Do they defeat Dio here? They could, maybe. I don't know. But if they don't, there's no way Dio would get out of part 6. I think.
Out of part 6?
Yeah.
I'll have to watch part 6 when it comes out. I don't have much information about that one.
Yeah, they'll have to. I have a lot of fan theories about part 6, so we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Like, what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah. Hopefully it comes out next year.
I think it would come out end of next year or early the year after.
You gotta get that 2020 Stone Ocean crew in effect.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it would be winter 2020 or spring 21. Because I'm assuming everything's going to take a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then another year to air.
Anyway, part 3 had the best openings. You heard it here first. We've settled it. It's done.
Part 4 has the best openings. Also, it has 3 different openings. So,
hey, I didn't really care for the first one.
I liked all the songs. They're rad. I saw
crazy, noisy, bizarre town. Don't really care for it.
I saw a meme. It's talking about how like each part in their intro is like, oh, part 1, it's like to show how like refined he is or whatever, and then part 3 because his dad, it has a little jazz because his dad is like a musician, and it goes on and on and on. And then it's like part 2, it's like everything's groovy.
Yeah, it is. It's very. They're grooving.
They're vibing.
Yo, Caesar, let me vibe check this.
Okay, I actually had a friend that sent me a video yesterday, and he spoke into the microphone really loud, so it's like kind of distorted, and he just goes, vibe check, and then there's this donk sound effect that he does as a joke with his friends.
Oh no.
And the photo is of these sick men, and one of them has a club, and he hits the other one, and he goes, vibe check, thunk. I don't know why. It's so stupid.
Yeah. That's like some meme going on. I don't know what it's all about.
Vibe check?
Yeah.
I never heard of it until I thought it was just my friend being a goof.
I saw some tweets.
Oh, that's dumb.
Speaking of tweets, so Jojo beats the fuck out of Steely Dan for like a minute, 2 minutes. Yep. That was cool.
How does that involve tweets?
Nothing. I said tweets and beats because he beats them up. Yeah. So, what did you think of Undertale?
I didn't play it.
Oh, you're missing out.
No, I'm not.
We gotta get you to play Undertale and Invader Zim.
I have other more pressing things to get into.
Yeah, I guess.
I still not done extra content Resident Evil 7. I've been playing Prey for like a year.
Oh yeah. Oh shit! I didn't even know you were playing Prey.
Yeah, but I started playing last November.
Oh.
But I took a number of months off from it because it's just a lot of back and forth and getting my butt kicked.
It's kind of hard. Like, as a teenager, it was very easy to recommend things to people, but now I can understand like why people can't just immediately sit down and watch something. Seeing with all the time and stuff.
For me, it's a lot of I have to discover it on my own. So my sister would be like, "Oh, check this thing out." I'm like, "Nah," and then like 5 years later, I'm like, "Yo, have you seen this thing?" And she's like, "I told you about it."
Yeah, I don't know why I feel like a lot of people don't really get into. We have this natural desire to recommend things to people, but a lot of times people don't do it. I don't know what that natural adversity is.
Well, I don't recommend Straight Jacket.
I do recommend JoJo Part 3. And 1 and 2. Watch it in order.
He didn't say Part 4, as you'll notice, because that's the best part, and he knows it.
No, this is the Part 3 podcast, so we don't want to talk too much about later parts, even though we already just went on about, like,
I know
alternate... We just went through this entire alternate history of how Part 4 and 5 would have unfolded.
Been rad.
We'll go more into that when we do Part 5. And
I have a question about Part 6, though.
I have a possible answer.
There's a lot of... Okay, we talked about this before, but I still don't see it.
Yeah.
About homoerotic themes or homosexual themes.
We didn't even talk about that with Part 3.
I still think that those are just ideas you put in, but I don't believe it's author's intent. There is some exceptions with certain characters, but with parts, and like I assume these are a lot of things that reoccur. I'm going to say from Part 2 on, because Part 1 didn't have any of that. But Part 6, I'm curious to wonder if they're going to stick with that fan theme that I'm going to call it, because unless the author says so otherwise, I'm going to just say fans made that up.
In Part 6, I think it's almost definitively there, but I think there was some kind of like meddling. But that's also like not coherent or clear, because there's a certain character that is introduced, and then like they get like it. You'll see. You'll you'll understand.
I saw a thing where a main character from Part 6 does this thing in front of this person, and I'm like, whoa, I want to see that. I'm just saying.
Well, you will see that in Part 6.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? They did it in front of a person that's in a position of power over them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Now you're like... Now I don't know what you're talking about.
What did you think I was talking about?
I thought I knew, but now I don't.
Okay, let's hear about these fan ideas of yours for Part 3. But wait, before you do that, let's start from the beginning. Do they apply to Part 1?
Oh, fuck. This is like a whole another bag of kettle. Let's
Bag of kettle? Like kettle corn chips?
Bag of fish. Kettle of fish, whatever.
That's not even an expression.
Yeah. I work at 6 a.m. So, we're gonna run through this. It's been a while since I really thought about Part 1 in this respect, but I don't think it's there. Part 1 is very kind of like there. Part 2, though, on the other hand...
Oh, I had a pun for Part 1. Hang on. Would you say Part 1 is pretty straightforward? That's me clapping because it was such a good joke.
Dire Straits. They took out the dire, and then Part 2, all you had were straights, and then it got taken out immediately. And I think that metaphorically leads to the Pillar Men.
Well, because I know someone keeps making those kind of jokes about Part 2.
Uh-huh.
And it drives me up the wall because they never once said the line, me and Caesar have to climb this pillar of lube. They have never said that once!
Well, think about it. What is on the pillar?
Okay, but you don't... That's not the line!
What is the Hell Climb pillar covered in?
Oil.
And oil is...
in your engine.
A lubricant.
They make it sound like it's a different type of lube.
Oh, yeah.
Lube that's like safe for your body, not your car.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, stop. Rewind that.
Hell Climb pillar. But I don't know. I don't see how you could look at the Pillar Man and say that's straight.
Can you argue against that?
I can't think of an argument against it.
I was going to say just ultra macho.
You could maybe say that about Santana. But then AC/DC in cars, I don't think... There's no straight explanation for that.
Well, they're from like 3,000 years ago, so they didn't really have clothes.
Yeah, but the clothes that they do wear are very...
Well, I don't think they're allowed to show genitalia in Shonen Jump.
Well...
Anymore.
They didn't really show genitalia, but...
well, adult genitalia.
There were some ass shots going on.
That's different, though. I'm talking about junk in the front.
You don't need the junk in the front. For the, That's not... Listen, whatever. If you're listening to this, you get it.
Okay, what about part 3?
Okay, so part 3 has I have a very complex explanation, but as time has gone on, I feel like I've gotten bored of talking about it because I've already said it so many times to so many different people. Yeah,
I already heard this. Give us the Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes, I think Jotaro is gay.
Because?
He acts in a gay way.
I still don't see it, even though I've seen the show twice now. He doesn't.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of people have this idea that gay means, like, flamboyant. And...
Okay, maybe you should define gay for me, then, in terms of Jotaro.
Homosexual male.
Okay. Even then, I still didn't see it.
I don't know. He just...
I think your
just has that vibe. Did it? Shit.
This is what they don't want you to hear.
Oh, fuck. Can you hear me?
Reset the call.
Hi, what's up?
No, I hang up too. Hang on.
Okay. All right. You have to cut all this part.
Okay, I can hear you now.
You'll definitely have to cut these parts of us rejoining the call.
No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
It's only a second. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, that was just my impression when I first saw Jotaro.
That's it? Just you thought he was a homosexual?
Yeah.
I just thought he was in a biker gang.
Yeah.
Well, I've never connected those two thoughts together in that way.
I don't know. Look at the way people dress in gay clubs, and then look at biker gangs, and then tell me there's no connection there.
Well, we do have Hell Angels stay at our hotel, but I don't...
Fuck. Yeah, they're fake.
They're not real bikers, you're saying?
No, they're just... they probably ride bikes, but I think they're fake people. I have no basis on this. Other than just... they're called Hell's Angels, so right off the bat... That's like the fakest name you can have. What angels? Tell. Dumbass.
Now, is it only Jotaro that is a homosexual?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think... Although Polnareff acts flamboyant, I don't see it.
Well, especially in his words and actions.
Like, he does have the earrings, but
well, I don't think earrings equate.
They're like broken heart earrings.
I think that was just a design choice, but
yeah, but
he's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it's like throughout if you wouldn't see a normal person dressed like that, but then again, it's Jojo, so you wouldn't see a normal person dressed like any of these people.
Well, unless you're a stand user, but
yeah.
Only stand users dressed like that.
They're something, when I first saw the opening for JoJo, I thought it was like some fantasy world. I didn't know it took place in our world.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing that it takes place in our world did change my opinion on a lot of things. These characters look really weird.
Well, of course.
Like, at first when it's like, oh, it's a fancy world. Oh, that's just how everybody dresses there. And it's like, no. Nobody else dresses like this.
Yeah, it's just stand users. For the most part.
Basically. All right. Oh, shit.
What?
So the thing everybody always makes, adding on to the Cliff Notes, the thing that everybody always talks about is like, oh, Dio's a gay vampire, ha ha ha.
Well, you mentioned that he would just do anything he wants, so it doesn't make him.
Whatever. That's not my point. So my point here is like everybody makes that joke because of like the way he dresses, the way he acts, whatever. What is Dio's secret power that everybody's afraid of? The world.
I was just say being controlled by him.
What is the thing that Jojo has been repressing that he's had all along?
The world.
Exactly.
Okay, let me add on to this idea.
Yeah.
So Kakyoin, he plays a lot of video games.
Okay.
We've seen that. He's a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
But Dio kills him.
Yeah.
Using the world, his stand.
Yeah.
I think the author was trying to show that the world is oppressing gamers.
Mm-hmm.
But if the world is an allegory for homosexuality, are they killing gamers?
No, because Jotaro tries to play video games. He never really did, but that wasn't because he hated video games. He just wasn't interested. He picks baseball because he used to play baseball as a kid. He just doesn't know how to play the controls. And who is the one who says, I can't believe my grandson is such a bad gamer?
Joseph?
Hermit Purple.
Okay.
Hermit Gamer.
I was just stealing my idea from a thing I saw. Where it was like, the world represents society and oppressing gamers.
You can't top this. Oh yeah, so going into the stance thing, something interesting about the tarot card of the world is that the meaning of it is that really more modern name for it would be the universe, because at the time tarot cards were made, they thought the world was everything.
Yep.
So if you draw the world in the divination of it, and it's right side up, it means the end of a long journey, ensured success, the end of everything you've been looking towards. Basically, like you get a successful journey. If you pull it upside down, it's what it says is you will not move forward. All of your plans will fail.
Whoa.
So if you look at his stand and the way it works, he can use it to prevent people from moving forward. Oh shit.
In part 1, he says useless.
Yeah.
When he punches people. But in part 3, he says muda in English, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I thought that was weird.
The reason for that is
keep that consistent.
Yeah, because in part 1, I think like they changed a lot of like their ideas of how to localize the anime from part 1 onward. Because like in part 1, they did like a lot of like trying to logically explain why they would say things like that, and then in
also in like part 1 and 2, they made everyone have proper accents.
Yeah, in part 3, like they don't have useless doesn't roll off the tongue as much as mudada.
It's true, but I was used to it.
Yeah. I don't think there's a real like translation for muda that also rolls off the tongue as well as muda does. It's just one of those things.
They could just replace it with laughter.
That would be weak. Because Jotaro is still yelling aura.
What does that mean?
Nothing.
And then in part Or what is
I think aura does mean something, but I don't know what it means.
Because they yell things in 4 and 5. And in 5, it's not even like main guy that yells it either, which I thought was weird.
Oh, I mean, part 5, main guy just says Muda.
When he does it. Well, he did it like, I think once or twice, though.
Yep. The part 5 guy doesn't get in that many fights.
Oh man, I have some things I found about part 5 I want to talk about, but we'll do that tomorrow.
All right. I guess we'll have to end it off here. Like, comment, subscribe. If you agree with me, say Alex is a fool. If you agree with Alex, say Kevin's out of his mind. Fuck that guy.
Well, about what though?
Everything.
Oh, well, I don't think we really had any disagreements about anything.
Oh, well, I guess just specifically pick out what you think we were a fool about and use time code so we know what you're talking about.
That's it.
That's the end of this episode. Good night.
The end.